bullshit. And of course, I'm dragged right back into it. So I decide, why not make a stream out of it? Because I'm gonna be doing it for a while. So, I've always had a self-fight when it comes to psychology. I'm not trained in psychology. Obviously, didn't take any classes in psychology. Actually, I did. I got a C. But the type of psychology I'm into is a little bit different. I'm practicing over years. Because I was born with something that just makes me very not good with talking with people. But I have improved over the years. So, let's see here. I'm trying to get a good text, because I don't want to screw up this part. I like this type. Let's do, like, condensed. Maybe an indent. Okay. So, the self one. This is just for the stream. This one's for the stream. Because we gotta do this for the if I'm gonna keep streaming. Yeah, we gotta get this diagnosis. But this is like not a whole self-diagnosis. It's more like current issues, current concerns that I have noticed psychologically with myself. And it's quite... The reason why it's a concern is because it's that type of feeling. You know, that feeling you got when feels like... Wow, that's some small text. But it feels like you could be doing something better. And this is my concern. Like, current concerns. Current concerns could be doing something better. Wants to do it, but is too afraid / sidetracked. Wants to, more like live stream. Wants to live stream. Is that want? Is that is? Don't want that. But it is too afraid / sidetracked to live stream. Now these are the issues. I have to forge something to give me a reason to live stream. You have one thing that's for it. We have maybe 3 things that are against it. And the idea is, I have these current concerns, which is what I have been noticing over the long time of doing so. So, the idea is to make reasons to not give it up. So, the reasons to not give it up is as simple. Concerns. Give up. Means to not give it up. Is basically hope. You know? Don't give up. I always have a little thing of hope. Now, why? I have no idea. It's something that's within me that I cannot change. Which is a good aspect. Now, how would one person get 3 things against it and double up the reasons to do it? Well, I think I have 3 reasons already, but I have to double it up. So the idea is trying to balance things, because if your mind is set on something, it's hard to change it. But if you can get other reasons why it's worth doing something, then you can change your overall viewpoint of it and maybe change your overall objective. Now, my issue is, get this, my issue is these. Well, not really this. But we're gonna keep that in there with cam. Let's just put it in with cam, right? But there's a reason why I don't use cam, and it's such a stupid reason. It's just my mind set up on something, so I can't really do it. But it jumps back and forth, so I can't really get stuck on it. But at the same time, it's like I want to live stream with the camera, and then the next day I don't. It's really bizarre. I don't understand why that happens either. So the positive is I want to live stream. Another positive is I want to meet cool individuals. Another positive is oh god, I don't know how to exactly to word it. Could be doing something better, wants to live stream with cam, but is too afraid to sidetrack to live stream. So, reasons to not give it up, hope, don't give up. So it's essentially like a balance. And the scary part is this list can always get longer on either or side. And that's the scary part, because you usually don't want to get more stuff in this area than the other. So reasons not to is I want to meet cool individuals, I want to live stream. That's not enough yet. You gotta get more. So I want to make people feel better. That's a good reason, I would say. Is making people want to feel better. Because I've noticed the more I do live streams, I don't like bringing up certain topics because it can make people feel bad. The reason why I don't bring up certain topics, like, I can't even say, because I don't want to bring it up because it'll make people feel bad. So it's a very complicated psychology I'm doing here. Because it's more of understanding yourself and being able to analyze what you've done and how you feel about things to actually be able to understand it. So the idea is we gotta get 3 more of these. So, what else would it be? To collaborate with others. But that's kind of hard to do right now. But we're going to keep it on here. We're just doing that. Because that's not a valid reason. But we can count it as 1/10 of a reason. The reason why is because I don't got time to find people to collaborate with, which is difficult. So, next thing's next is to I can't just bring up things out of thin air because I genuinely have to have it in my mind. So it's like I have to find it. That's the issue. Let's see. How will this work? Want to live stream? No, wants. Okay. Wants to open up more, yeah. That's fine. Yeah, that's obvious. Wants to open up more. That's a good reason. Because it's like live streaming, you constantly have people that can actually pop in chat. They can chat. You can maybe talk to them, ask them how their day is. It's quite nice, actually. And that's another reason to do said thing. So, another reason is to be able to do it casually. I don't know. That didn't really spark anything. Ah, that's right. To be able to communicate with other individuals with the same interest. That is a big one, actually. This one right here is a big one. So, this is very heavily reliant on how the streams go. So it's like if no one's there, then I feel like really bad because it's like I never got to talk to anyone with the same interest. And that's, I think, where the fear of too afraid / sidetrack the live stream comes from. I think we should shrink these down a bit. 24? 24 sounds nice. Put all these to 24. We're getting a little bit too schooly here. That's better. Next thing. Wants to live stream. I want to meet cool individuals. 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 There we go. That's better. It's better. I want to make people feel better. Collaborate with others. Wants to open up more. To be able to communicate with other individuals. See, I typed it right here. With the same interest. So, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need technically one more, but I don't feel like it's strong enough yet. My mind is currently set half on this, half on this. So, to share experiences / personal events live. Yeah, I think that hits it. That hits it quite well. That's a good reason. I feel that's a great reason, actually. Now, another reason. Also, none of these reasons can have money related to it. It has to be personally actually fulfilling. If it's not, then I'd just go for some random career. Like, I'd go for psychology and become my greatest nightmare. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't become a psychologist because the issue with it is my whole viewpoint is a psychologist is the idea of the person needs help and needs some viewpoints. And for me, getting one isn't gonna really help me that much because I know what I like. I know who I am. To understand yourself is the greatest thing you can ever do. And being able to understand what your faults are and what good things about you is important. could be doing better. Wants to live stream with Cam. Yeah, that's... I can't think of more negative reasons. So the next thing is any more positives. Make friends. Make friends could be a positive. Yeah, that seems fine. Could make friends. Make friends. What else? Learn new things. That's a big thing for me. Is this. If you didn't know, this one little thing, it is my whole meaning of life. It is to be able to see new things, learn new things, experience new things. Just, you know, being able to just have a new thing. Like discovering something new. Something new. So, these are heavy things. These are things I cannot personally change. These are, like, my reason of life. These are, when I was stupid, what made me get smarter over time. These are the reasons why I'm able to look at myself and understand why I think the way I think and how I think. The reason how I'm able to try to beat my own negativity of a subject. Now, I think that could be enough. So we can get out of this current concerns thing. And I'm guessing I'm going to do some more educational type of streams then. Try to learn new things. So, yes, we'll be an educational stream for a little bit, because I want to learn things. But now, we are now into the next level, is getting to understand strengths, and weaknesses. Now, we're going to start with weaknesses first, because everybody likes to think they're perfect. So you start with the thing that isn't perfect, of course, because that makes most logical sense to me. Because no one's perfect. We're gonna grow this up to 24, and we are going to type in some weaknesses here. One weakness would be, I don't have weakness of communication, but there is a form of communication that I'm weak with. I am weak when it comes to personal communication. I think that's wrong. It's not personal, per se, but it's more toward an individual. So it's kind of like a weak in conversations. So I'm weak in conversations. Cannot speak well. Cannot speak well in conversations. So that can be a good sort of reason. Or sort of weakness, per se, because I cannot talk in, like, any conversations. I've always been unable to get better at this, no matter how much I practice, no matter how much I try. I guess I've improved to a point where I can talk to a group of 3 people, but I have not improved to the point where I can actually talk with a group of 4 or 5 or 6 or 7. Now, being able to talk to 3 people is better than not being able to talk to more than 1 or 2 people, of course. But the issue is, I can have a lack of understanding I have a lack of understanding when it comes to certain things, which makes this more prominent. Cannot speak to 3 or more people at a time. These are kind of like overall weaknesses. Weaknesses that are crippling in a way, but I live with it. Lack of understanding. A lack... What would that be considered? How would I word this? Being wrong. Feels right in every situation. Now, that isn't entirely true. I've been improving on that one, but I'll put that in there because I still feel it's still an issue. Now, another one that would be a weakness, per se, would be... What would it be?
I'm so bored.
What would it be? What would it be? I'm never really a hypocrite, because if I hold something to someone else, I don't really hold it. I hold it to myself as well. So... I guess... What would another negative be? Lack of understanding, cannot speak to 3 or more people at a time, feels right in every situation. Hard. It's hard to get closer to people. That is a very teen one, for sure. Because when I say it's hard to get closer to people, it's not entirely dependent on one thing. It's more likely it's dependent on me and the other person. And I make it really hard to get close to people. Let that one be known. It's hard. It took me 1.5 years to talk to one of my coworkers. That's a long time. That is a long time. That is 1/100th of my life. That's how long it takes. Hard to get closer to people. Probably label this one weaknesses. Weaknesses. These are the weaknesses. There's some things I wouldn't consider a weakness. Because there's this developing thing I've gotten to where I feel some people have gotten way too soft as of recent years. And when it comes to sexism and all that sort of stuff, I'm very lenient. Like, I can have both sides, kind of. I can have viewpoints of both sides, but either way I can say both sides are stupid. And they aren't looking at the other side, and they say something, and then they say they didn't say something. It's like, oh, I didn't mean all, but I meant all. Like, they say the word all, and then they mean all, and then they say, oh, sorry, I didn't mean all. That's what I mean. And that's why I can't really call it a weakness, because it's being able to understand others. Or it's more of a understanding of... No. It's hard to explain. It's self-righteousness, I would say. That would be it. That's it. So I don't want to have somebody walk all over me while they say... Or I don't want to have somebody walk over other people, and then when other people try to walk over them, they have an issue. It's kind of like a double standard. So that's the reason why I don't like people who are part of these groups that say blah, blah, blah. It is because they're having a double standard of stupidness. And that's the only reason why. I don't care what group it is. If you think you can walk over someone based upon something that you were born, then it's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. It can go either way, always, anyway. So, let's go into strengths. Because, I mean, that's my whole life right there. Just not being able to understand people and such. But I have one strength that really carries me. Strengths. Not being double standard. Not being double standard. I don't care. If anyone ever be's double standard, it's kind of like, it's stupid. You can't really explain. Because I've thought about it. Like, how would you explain being double standard based upon something of another thing that you believe? So I'm just going to say it instead of just going all around it to be safe. I'm just going to say, if you believe that a certain group of people are bad based upon who they are, so essentially if you're a sexist woman and you don't like men, per se, but then you say at the same... and you actually be, like, sexist in a way. And it's not... it's like double standard. So it's essentially like, you say mean things to them, you just always do mean things to them, and then you do this and that. But then when it comes to a different race, all of a sudden it's an issue. That's what I don't like, is just the double standard in it. It's just a double standard. I don't like being treated differently, and I don't like people walking over me because they feel I'm in debt to them for nothing I've done. It's just a simple thing that, you know, for being an autistic person, it kind of really makes the lack of understanding harder to understand when they have this stupid double standard in there. And not being double standarded is actually better for me having an understanding of what's going on than whatever people are thinking right now. Because here's how I look at it, right? If that person was born like that, that person was born like that, we're all people in a brain. We all think. We're all thinkers. Therefore, we're all the same. End of story. Also, I do not use my weakness. Use my disability to make things easier. It's funny for me saying that after what I just said, but I don't really use it in most situations because I feel as as a weak characteristic to use your disability to, per se, make things easier when you know you can handle it. But if you really can't focus, you really can't like understand something, then it's good to use it. It's just, if you're kind of good, you're like high. What is it called? It's like they can handle themselves. You know, the ones that can handle themselves really well and basically act like a normal person. Those are the ones I'm talking about. Is the higher end. Like they aren't completely disability, but they still have a little bit of it. That's kind of what I am. Or at least I was getting there. I was like, I think I was a mid-range, and I've improved over the years as I've inspected, watched, looked at things, looked at other viewpoints, understanded. I didn't have a conscience at first. That's the funny part, is that I did not even have a conscience. As in, when I did something bad, there wasn't a little voice in my head telling me if it was bad or good. I didn't know. So essentially, it got to a point to where I had to make my own conscience. And when I actually made my own conscience, it got to this interesting point to where I could actually wire out what is good and what is bad. So one of my core things is not hurting others. Now, not hurting others is just simple. Just don't hurt others. You know? It's just a simple thing. It's like a Batman thing. I don't know. It's just always been a thing within me. Once I built a conscience. So not abusing one's disability in order to do something easier. Not being double standarded. Not hurting others. What is another one? Another one would probably be being... You see, that would contradict the lack of understanding, though. I guess being considerate. I feel like I'm typing that wrong. Being considerate is a big thing I have. I'm very considerate about what's going on. Like, I don't look at it from one side of the story. I look at it from both. So might as well do it this as well. Both sides of the story of the story. That's what I'm more interested in, is both sides of the story. What's going on? Who's doing what, and what's truly going on. I think that's my biggest issue. Or more likely, strength. So, not being double standarded. Do not use my disability to make things easier. Not using my disability to make things easier. Being considerate, both sides of the story. Trying not to be hateful. So, trying not to be hateful. Now, the reason for this is because everybody's just filled with hate. They hate people, but they don't hate, essentially, the format. You can, like, saying you hate someone is, like, a different thing. Because I can say I hate the double standard everybody has. Because Well, there obviously is one. There's been one. Not everybody has one, of course. There are some that don't have a double standard, and I love them heavily. It's just when they do have a double standard, I tend to lose a lot of respect for them because, well, we're all human. Being considerate, both sides of the story, trying not to be hateful. What would another one be? What just another heavy one would be? Is understanding yourself. I'm an asshole. Now, the reason I put these words in is because things trigger my brain with dopamine. And some of those things I don't like. And I just don't like it because I built my own moral compass. And, you know, if you get... So essentially, if someone has something misfortunate happen to them, it makes me chuckle. And I don't know why. It just happens. I have no real control over it. It's just something that's hardwired in. Now, I don't know what makes my mind want to be such an asshole. But I have stopped it from going down the dark path, of which it obviously told me straight up, which was an awkward time. Strengths. Being, you know, being self-conscious is not a strength, but I would consider being confident in one's... I'm gonna say this, being confident in one's ability to understand and correctly assess a situation without leaving... Okay. Situation without deliberately ignoring one's faults and one's incapabilities being confident in one's ability to understand and correctly assess the situation without deliberately ignoring one's faults and one's incapabilities to a degree. Being confident in one's ability to understand and correctly assess the situation without deliberately ignoring one's faults and one's incapabilities to a degree. The reason why that one's so long is because it's kind of like a balance game. You're balancing your own ability to be confident, to understand, and correctly assess a situation based on someone else's faults, or even your own faults, and one's incapabilities, or maybe even your own capabilities to a degree. That's why it's such a complicated sentence. More likely 2 sentences, more complicated. But that is, I would say, a big one, because... Actually, let's go into weaknesses. I'm gonna add one. And that weakness would be... being nosy. But then at the same point, it's also a strength, is being able to understand your surroundings. So I say this because my surroundings are my own, and not just that, being able to understand your surroundings can possibly save your life or other people's lives. The reason for this is because if you're aware of your surroundings, and you saw someone per se choking on something, you could probably do a Heimlich maneuver if you actually knew how to do it. You'd be able to be the first to do a lot of things. Like, if somebody were to, I'm not gonna even say it, you know, if something were to go wrong, you'd be able to get your phone out, call the police or anything, and get the situation not as much of an issue. There's a reason why being able to understand your surroundings is kind of like really important, and it makes me upset sometimes that some people are very unperceptionists and they don't look at their surroundings and understand where they are, because perception is a very big thing people need to have in order to keep themselves safe, to be honest. Not being double standarded. Do not use my disability to make things easier, not hurting others. Being considerate both sides of the story. Trying not to be hateful. Understanding yourself. I'm an asshole. Being confident in one's ability to understand and correctly assess the situation without deliberately ignoring one's faults and one's incapability to a degree. Being able to understand your surroundings. I think one would be understanding, or more likely, knowing your limits. Knowing your limits and being open about it is a big thing. Because you cannot expect... So imagine if you work at like a job where you have customers and you have a job. The job tells you to do one thing that makes the customers happy, but then you do that thing to make the customers happy within your regulations, and the customers aren't happy because you followed regulations. Now the customers aren't happy, and then they go to your manager, and then the customer isn't happy. The manager looks at you and said, "Why didn't you make the customer happy?" Then the only thing you can really say in this situation is, I followed regulation, and by following regulations, the customer is not happy. Therefore, I am unable to do an impossible task. You have to know your own limits. You have to know your own limits and being open about it, because that's very important. You don't want to get yourself stuck in a situation to where you cannot do one thing or the other. You want to either follow the rules, and following the rules and procedure is most advisable if it makes most sense. There's logic and procedures, and they both have their own reasons, and you can break procedure only if it is a really great reason. I would not normally say break procedure, because procedure is a big thing, and it can be dangerous to break a procedure if you don't know what you're doing. I'll tell you one time you can actually break a procedure, and I'd actually give you an idea of a time it'd be logical to break a procedure. Imagine if the procedure for evacuating a building is for them to go to the nearest exit, but the staircase going to the nearest exit broke down. But then there's another staircase across the building with not a broken down staircase, and you can climb up it and get to that exit. The people are moving the people to the staircase that is starting to be burnt down. They don't know, so you actually tell the people that's moving them to not go on the staircase that's getting burnt down and tell them to go to the further staircase because it's the safest route out. That is a good time to break procedure in a situation. Everyone has their limits. What else is there? I think we're getting close to it. Okay. So those are strengths and weaknesses. Now let's... Is there any more that I'm like... that I understand really well that I know that is more of a strength than a weakness? Being prepared. Being prepared could be considered a strength and a weakness, but I feel like that's more of a strength. I'm probably going to do this one for a rerun, because this is a lot of helpful information, actually. The more I listen to myself, I understand how maybe not being double standard, knowing your limits, like this could be a really good like life lesson right here. Knowing your limits. This especially, being confident in one's ability to understand, correctly assess the situation without deliberately ignoring one's faults and one's incapabilities to a degree. So that's just life lesson right there. Understanding yourself, life lesson. Being considerate is a life lesson. Being prepared is another life lesson you could have. Yeah, a lot of these... Oh god, I might have to make a video out of this. This is very detailed, holy shit. Okay then. Next thing is being able to laugh at one's self in order to make others happy and to make yourself feel better. Usually people don't like being the butt of the joke and they make jokes about other people, but being able to laugh at oneself is an important one for sure. It's not as important as most, but being able to laugh at yourself is kind of like, if you aren't laughing, then no one will ever laugh, sort of viewpoint. Strengths. Being able to laugh at oneself in order to make others happy, to make yourself feel better. What would one be? Independency. Being psychologically independent. That one is kind of, I should probably define that a little bit more. Because that could mean a lot of things, actually. So what would be just a good being psychologically independent? Not letting others tell you who you are. There we go. That's good. Yeah, just simply like if somebody said, I don't like how you do your hair and you're more comfortable with it, don't listen to them. Just be psychologically independent. Just a simple thing. Just don't let people control you. I think that's good. That's good stuff. We'll be doing something better. I want to live stream with Cat, but it's too afraid to distract. It started with this, huh? Well, let's get to the more deeper things. The evil side. The evil side of myself. Okay, so some things I cannot list because they are issues and they aren't totally true. But the things I can list is Ralph. Because Ralph, actually, I figured out, is the mistake. More likely the old me that did not have a conscience that grew up in a really rough state. So Ralph would be considered everything evil about yourself in one body. So he's a psychopath. Jealous. The psychopath, jealous. Angry. He has a lot of different things about him too. Like, very bizarre. Like, there's one thing that's, like, very bad. I think I remember. Vengeful. That's what it is. It's very vengeful. Very dangerous, for sure. I did not feel safe around that guy. More like, I did not feel safe around... I should probably explain what Ralph is. So I had a dream, right? And this was the embodiment of, like, it was weird. Like, it talked about how something made both of us and how he wanted to take over whatever. And I did not have it. Basically, I was having none of it, so I essentially got rid of him. But he said a lot of weird things like, you were a perfect drone, blah blah blah, you'd be perfect for droning for some person that's too pathetic to ever get out of his mind is weird. Is weird. So, he's obviously a mistake. Psychopath, jealous, angry, vengeful, dangerous. Mistake. He's fueled with desires. He's not a very good guy. He won't let anyone run. Or more likely, he's very... I can't even type it. But he is very... He's very depressed. He's very insane too. Like, these are basically everything that I've kind of removed over time. I can still get angry, it's just very hard for me to keep it up. I can't really get jealous. I don't really want to be dangerous, 'cause I'd be afraid. What else is Ralph? What else did Ralph do? He is very intelligent, though. That's one thing I have to say about him. Very intelligent. I mean, you could consider him a fool, too. He's very open. Or more likely honest. Which is something weird. What else does Ralph do? Or what else did Ralph try to do? Tries to... No, that's it. That's Ralph. That is Ralph, yep. That is exactly what Ralph is. Complete monster. Well, I guess I could just call him a monster, but... Psychopath, jealous, angry, vengeful, dangerous, mistake, fueled with desires, depressed, insane, intelligent, a fool, honest, a monster. He's very creative, too. There's a lot of things about him. Creative. He's very... I think I know... This is weird, then. He's into horror. He's very into horror, for sure. I look at it like this, because I was never... Like, some of these characteristics sometimes fit me. Let me find one. This one. Which then causes that. Creativity causes this. More like this causes creativity, which causes this. More like this causes this, which causes creativity. And then causes that. And that. Which then gets you into certain things. Like, I got into horror, for sure. I know he's into horror, because he made the nightmares. There is something in common. He's into horror, intelligence. Some things that never you can really get control over. Oh, he's into suffering. He is so into suffering. I'm not totally into that. I hate it. But if somebody like trips, falls, and doesn't get too badly hurt, I get a little chuckle that I have no control over, or I smile. And it's weird to me. Very weird stuff. I think that's all he is. Now let's talk about the, let's just say me. Let's not get weird here. Let's just give me like some really rude characteristics because I hate me. Let's just say there's some things about me that are not considered too bad. Coward. Coward. Lazy. A know-it-all. Coward, lazy, know-it-all. What else would describe me? Of course, this is not totally me. It's more of a description of individual. Very controlling. Very controlling. I personally am not very controlling, but should I describe it? I'm essentially like, imagine you wake up with amnesia, but really, what's going on is something made an alternate personality, which then had no memory, and it explains to me that what is his is mine, what is mine is his, or something. That's what I would describe it. It's like another self. But he essentially hates the world and never does anything. He just kind of stays asleep forever. Because he's lazy, controlling, coward. He doesn't like the world. He's very disconnected. That's what he is. He's very delusioned. He's very fake. Yeah. No. But more likely he's... There's one good thing about him. That's the one good thing about him. But that's the end of the stream. Yeah, that's the end of the stream. But hey. Here's my personal weaknesses. Cannot speak well in conversations. Lack of understanding. Cannot speak to 3 or more people at a time. Feels right in every situation. Hard to get closer to people. Being nosy. Strengths. Not being double standard. Do not use my disability to make things easier. Not hurting others. Being considerate both sides of the story. Try not to be hateful. Understanding yourself. I'm an asshole. Being confident in one's ability to understand and correctly assess the situation without deliberately ignoring one's faults and one's incapabilities to a degree. Being able to understand your surroundings.